Hi, and welcome to part 2 of this collaborative learning presentation. Today what we're going to do is talk about a couple of examples of collaborative learning and how you might incorporate these into your classroom. You will notice that these are listed as links in this presentation, so after you finish, you can click on the links if you want to explore more. When we did this as the live presentation, one of the things that we introduced was the Jigsaw method. Jigsaw is a way of using collaborative learning in a classroom, and what you do, or what you can do, what you'll notice is that there's 4 groups listed up here, A, B, C, and D. And so for our presentation, we had given each group, A, B, C, and D, a different article. And what each group then did is they read each individual article. So group A took the first article. They read it, they got together, they talked about it, they learned about it, they became experts. Group B had a second article. They read it, they became experts. Group C had another article. They read it, became experts, asked questions, and then Group D had a 4th article. After I felt like they had become experts, then what the instructor will do is number off the people in those groups. And so we had 4 people in a group, so we numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4. And so all the ones get together. So then what you end up having is you have someone from Group A, 1 from Group B, 1 from Group C, and 1 from Group D. Then you do the same thing with the 2s. So you have a 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 3s, and 4s. So then what happens is that 1A tells this group all about their article. They become the teacher. The second number 1 tells their group all about the second article. The third one tells all about their article, and the 4th. And so therefore, now your students have read and become an expert on one article, but get the benefit of listening to the others in the group. Kind of a neat way to kind of jigsaw the information out. These, I guess, are the articles that we used with the Jigsaw method, just as a way to kind of expose instructors to different examples of collaborative learning. What I'll do is just give a very brief kind of synopsis of each of the different types of collaborative learning, and again, you can read more about these if you want to in each of the separate links. I will give credit to the book called Collaborative Learning Techniques, a Handbook for College Faculty. This was a book that I actually rented from Amazon pretty inexpensively, and actually I'm going to purchase because it does have a lot of really good things. So if you're interested, you can definitely go ahead and purchase the book. Just to kind of get into each of these examples, we'll start with sequence chains, and just a very brief overview. In a sequence chain, you would either give students a bunch of events or items in a series and have them put them into a logical order. Could be steps in a process, could be historical if years were important, could be ways to solve a problem. And so then what students will do is they'll be given, or they come up with, the sequence. They put them in order. They also could come up with the events if that was an assignment. So that is what sequence chains do. You just could be a review of the material, a review of a lecture. It could be done pretty quickly. The second one is called word webs. And word web is just a concept map, only it's done together. This, I think, would make a really good preview at the beginning of a unit. You might put the unit concept, the main idea in the beginning, in a large circle, and students could brainstorm what previous knowledge they have about that particular topic. You could also do it as a test review. So if you have a concept, I don't know, if we were using purposes for writing, perhaps then students, if it was in a writing class, they could say entertain, persuade, describe, and go off of that with different types of writing and different methods that might be used, so it might be a good way to review. Talking chips is a third method. Talking chips involves giving students a certain number of tokens, I guess. Each time they speak, they would put that token into a bucket or whatever, and once everybody's tokens are gone, you could redistribute those. What this does is it doesn't allow for one person to dominate, the conversation. So it's a method of getting everyone's participation. The fourth is called the three-step interview. And in the three-step interview, students get into pairs and they take turns interviewing each other and then report what they've learned to another group. So ideally, you would have groups of 4. You'd have 2 different pairs. You might ask a very open-ended question. I know one of the examples is from a calculus teacher saying what was the most difficult problem that you had and explain why. So they'd interview each other and then report back to the other pair and vice versa. So that's a 3-step interview. Would be a good way to review or to give different scenarios. So, present a scenario if it's a nursing or a medical class or maybe even a mechanical type of class. You might ask, what would you do in this situation? Get the responses and then share those. Test-taking teams is number 5. Test-taking teams allow students to take tests together. You do have to be kind of careful with this one. The book suggests perhaps having individuals take the test first, get an individual grade, and then go back and discuss answers that were wrong. I've had a couple of instructors who have done this and it's worked really well. They actually have gone into more depth in discussing the questions than they would probably if they were taking it on their own. So that's kind of an intriguing one where you'd allow students to take the tests as a group. Send a problem is one, it's problem solving, so maybe a math problem or again a real life scenario. You would have that created, or the students could create their own. In small groups, they would receive an envelope or something with the problem in it. They would discuss it, come up with a solution, send it on. The next group would take a look at the problem, not the answer, come up with another solution or a solution. Once they've done that, it goes on to a third group and so on. The group at the end gets to take a look and kind of decide which of the concepts or which of the solutions is the best. You could do this with math. There's maybe multiple ways of solving a problem. And so you could use that as a way to kind of check their problem solving skills and their process. So how is the process? And again, the key is each group would not be able to look at the previous group's answers. They'd have to come up with their own. The last one is the think aloud pair problem solving. And this is one where students obviously would get into a pair. They're given a question and there's a problem solver and there's a listener. The problem solver will think aloud. The listener just simply listens and offers suggestions, may ask questions, but it's a way to kind of think aloud as to how you'd solve a certain problem. More application based. So if you're in the working world and this happens, how are you going to solve this problem? And it's the thinking and the process, again, that becomes maybe more important than the actual product. So again, you'll see these concepts and these techniques listed in the link that follows. So click on the ones that you are interested in, take a look. I really like this book because what it does is it gives, there's multiple different techniques. This is just a sampling. There's tips for writing, how to incorporate writing, how to do games, if games was something that you were interested in, discussions, how to improve discussions and to get those more collaborative. So lots of different structures and types of collaborative learning techniques are in this book. What it also does is it allows for lots of examples. So you'll see examples from math classes, music classes, writing classes. You'll also see all the different formats represented. So they might show you what it would look like in an online class, or they would look and show you what it would look like in a hybrid type of class. So in a flipped classroom even. So a very useful resource for you to use because it gives you lots of real world applications. All right, one of the questions that you might be asked later is which of these were most helpful, which might work in the classroom. So if you want to take an opportunity to kind of reflect on that, that would be a good idea as to how you can actually incorporate these into your classrooms. Thank you, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them my way. My name again is Michelle Geiskamper. I'm at the Piasta campus, extension 330, or you can find me via email. Thank you.